Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy!
That's me, Tiberius!
Today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about surviving living bombs that are chasing you, a book about plagues and pandemics, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Brian Coleman. Brian is a trial consultant that does everything from evidence exhibits to case review and prep.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. And today we're going to start off with the video of the week, and this is going to be a bomb.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Build to Survive the Bombs. This game is made by Willie Bilmo. Because it's on Roblox, you are able to play it on PC, Mac, Xbox, and even your cell phone. And it is free. You might remember Willie Bilmo from their other games, Monkey Tag and The Comedy Experience. So first off, you appear on a random map, and you are allowed to build blocks. You are supposed to build a base or hide yourself for a game of tag. I love tag, but the difference is that the guy that is there also a bomb. He can explode, and if you're near him, you're basically dead. So what if you hide really high? He might find what's supporting you and blow that up, and then you can fall and then die by the bombs. There's a lot of ways for him to get you. But wait, there's more! If you get caught in an explosion, you die and become a bomb as well. That means it's a lot like infection.
Whoa, that sounds cool.
Well, each time someone gets caught, more people are bombs and searching for the remaining people. This means if you want to survive, you really have to build very tall bases or very strong bases with lots of connections. There is a time limit, and if you survive, you get to unlock upgrades and bomb skins and types. You can even get some weapons so that you can fight the bombs and make them explode early.
Now that sounds like fun.
Well, I give Build to Survive the Bombs 9 out of 10 stars because it was really fun to build up really high and jump onto a place where the bombs could not get to. This means if they blew up the supporting beams, they had no way to get to you, and you win by default. Very big brain thinking there.
Nice.
And now it's time for the book of the week, History Smashers, Plagues, and Pandemics. This was written by Kate Messner. Remember to the back of the book. In fact, Brian, would you like to do the honors?
Myths, lies, and secrets. Smash the stories behind famous moments in history and expose the hidden truth. The Black Death of the 14th century wouldn't be as deadly if people had just shut their windows. Right or wrong? Well, we will learn the real reason this plague spread all over and smash everything you thought you knew about history.
Well, this is a narrative book that's worth 4 points. It's rated for 7th grade and 9th month. This is a great series about myths and lies about history. So this book is pretty cool. They take a subject and follow it through history and find out all the misconceptions that people use to think about it. This one is about plagues and pandemics. So the book starts off with the Black Death and shows how it was spread by flies and was not in the air like people thought. So many people died because they were just closing their windows. The book also talks about smallpox, tuberculosis, polio, and COVID-19. They also talked about mosquitoes and how they spread most of the diseases and plagues. I really liked learning that during the Black Death, when an enemy was attacking a castle, they took the bodies of people with the Black Death that were dead and catapulted them over the castle walls to make all the people inside sick. It's not how I want to learn how to fly. Whee! I give History Smashers, Plagues, and Pandemics 11 out of 10 stars because I really liked the series and was pleasantly surprised of all the things that people thought. That they were completely wrong, too. Crazy people.
That sounds awesome.
Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Brian Coleman. Brian is a trial consultant consultant that does everything from in-courtroom support to making the jury say not guilty. No, just kidding. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
Oh, this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So you are a trial consultant. Can you explain to my listeners exactly what that means?
Sure. So I work very closely with attorneys and their support staff to get the trial ready for trial. So I will help organize materials, everything that they want to show to the jury, and then I put it onto a computer system. I help with the equipment in the courtroom, and then even once I'm on site, I'm helping them develop themes and ideas for PowerPoints and how to best present their case to the jury.
Mm-hmm. So how does that help make the world a better place?
Well, it moves the judicial system. It moves everything, keeping things moving forward. It expedites the trial process by helping the attorneys move quickly through their exhibits and their presentations. And it also helps to ensure everyone gets a fair trial.
Okay. What got you interested in this very different type of job?
Well, I never really thought I would be going into this field. I actually in high school, I went to the last 2 years, my school offered a vocational opportunity where you could go to high school and also go to a vocational school. And I actually signed up for culinary, thinking that I was going to go and become a chef or something. And I put as my second option, television productions and communications. I didn't make the culinary school and got into the video world and learning all about behind the scenes for running a camera and working for a television station. And so that sort of got me very interested in the video field. So out of high school, I joined a company in Chesapeake, Virginia, and they did a lot of dance recitals, videotaping dance recitals, setting up big rigs for video cameras and live switch feeds. And then they also did what was called legal videography, which is where a videographer would go out to a location and videotape a doctor as the attorneys ask him questions, so that then video could be played in a courtroom instead of the doctor having to show up in person. So that was sort of my first introduction into the legal world. And from there, I went to another company that provided court reporting and legal video services. And within a few years of there, I learned about the niche of helping attorneys actually in the courtroom. So I kind of switched gears and started helping in the courtroom, which I enjoyed a lot because I get to be part of a team and figure out the best way to present the case. And so the rest is history. I then went to another company that I solely did trial support and now have my own company doing the same thing.
Wow. So you do work with lawyers while they're in the courtroom themselves? Are you sitting right next to them like on TV?
I'm close. I'm usually right behind them, and I try to blend in with the furniture in there so that the jury doesn't see me. But I do work very closely with them. They'll be passing me notes sometimes, and I'll be working on presentation items as they're questioning witnesses, and then be available to display anything that they ask for when they have their questions.
So how long have you been doing this amazing work?
Gosh, I've been doing in the legal field for about 23 years now. So I started doing the videotaping of witnesses and have moved up into doing just basically solely trials.
Mm-hmm. Now, I saw some stuff on TV where they show exhibits of intersections or car crashes or videos where bullets might have gone. Is that the kind of stuff that you can make?
Yeah, it's exactly what trial techs like me would work on. We would figure out the best way to present evidence, and then we would make whatever is needed. A lot of the work I do is working on medical malpractice cases. It's usually where a patient is saying that the doctor did something wrong, and I usually work with the defense. And so a lot of times there's either medical illustrations or animations that are needed to show the procedure, or even timelines and graphics that are needed to help display the information.
So what is the most common thing that a trial attorney needs your help with?
I would say organization of exhibits. Really, a lot of times there could be thousands of pages of records. And I've seen some attorneys for the other side come in with binders and binders and boxes of records. And they have to go through these binders to be able to show the exhibits to the witness. And that's just time consuming. And so with me to be able to come in, I give every single document its own unique ID. And then in the courtroom, I can pull those records up in seconds.
Wow. So when they need projectors or TVs in the courtroom, do you have to stand next to it and run it, or do you train the lawyer to do it?
No, I take care of that. So I think the best thing about trial consultants is we take that stress away from the attorneys. We allow them to focus on the client, focus on the case law, focus on the judge, and making sure that everything's going right for the jury. And we worry about the technology, and we worry about, what the projector's doing or what the cables are doing. So we would stay in the courtroom with the equipment and be available to replace things as needed as the trial goes on.
Okay. So what happens if the TV does not turn on or something breaks?
I carry lots of backups. I would have backup equipment in the courtroom. I also have additional equipment in the van, so we can run out during a break and fix things, whatever's needed.
So my dad said that you are really good at organizing your documents. Can you explain how that works?
Sure. So in order to get ready for a trial, first we meet with the attorneys and we kind of go over exactly what's going to be needed. What type of demonstratives, which would be like the pictures and the graphics that might be needed, what type of special PowerPoint slides they might want to put together, any special illustrations or animations that might be needed. And then I also start receiving all the materials, which could be exhibits for the plaintiff, exhibits for the defense, literature, graphics, illustrations that they may have, and also depositions. So a lot of times all of these cases have depositions that have been done. And so I take all those materials and I organize it on my end and prepare them for the trial program. And then every piece of document gets a unique ID. So they're all coded so that the attorneys, when they're ready and want a specific document called up, I'm in the courtroom, I can type in that unique ID number and bring it up on the screen.
So now that we have been dealing with COVID, are you helping lawyers work remotely using Zoom or some other program?
Definitely, towards the end of the COVID, where things finally started opening up, there was a lot of using the Zoom in the courtroom and trying to get witnesses that may be in lockdown connected within the court. Now that the courts are really opening up, we're seeing more of those witnesses now finally come back to being live in the courtroom. So the using of Zoom or Team Meets or WebEx is kind of, at least for me, starting to be limited now.
Okay. So now I see that the lawyer gets to walk around and yell really loud and win the case. Does it really happen like that? Or is it more boring and looking at documents like my dad says?
It's much more boring. There's very little excitement. Most of the time, everyone knows what's going to be said and how things are going to go. But there's deputies in the court and the judge making sure that everyone's not getting so, I would say, excited during their case. So it's not nearly as exciting as they show on the TV.
Okay. So do you have to travel all over to take care of your clients, or are they all based local to you?
Well, I've gone all over. I've gone out to the West Coast. I've been in California. I did a case in Las Vegas. I've been to Texas. I did a lot in Florida and Georgia. And I've been up and down the East Coast. I would say, though, the majority of my work is about a 5-hour radius of where I'm at, and I'm located in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
So what is the coolest part about being a trial consultant?
I like every case is different. So you're not working on the same thing every time. And I like to be able to use my creativity to try to come up with unique ways of presenting evidence. I like being able to take complicated things and kind of break them down into simpler terms and to kind of put those together into demonstratives and just really work with a great team to kind of achieve, hopefully, a victory for my side.
So now that you run this as your own business, is that harder than working for a company?
I would say yes, because, with the company, there's support staff. So there's others that, you can rely on to help you if you get swamped. And you have, people answering phones, and you have people that are doing the paperwork side and paying the bills. So there's a lot more that I'm responsible for now that I have my own business. But the work's coming in, thankfully. And so that's exciting, but it's also scary too, because with the courts opening back up and the backlog of all the COVID cases, there's a great need for trial consultants and trial techs in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm. So what have you learned about yourself while doing this job?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. I guess I learned sort of how to be organized. That's a great question. I've been doing this for about 23 years now, and I just found that this job is sort of my niche. I'm wired to kind of think in a way to help break down complicated tasks. And it really kind of just keeps me on my toes. And I've enjoyed working with the clients that I have and being out there and kind of in the courtroom setting. So I've learned sort of how to be a business professional in the legal field, and I think I've enjoyed that a lot with this work.
Okay. So what was the craziest thing that's happened while you were doing your job?
Gosh, I would say one of the cases I was working on was about 5 or 6 years ago. I was working a trial up in Northern Virginia, and we were on the second day of this case, and I was there working with the defense. And the plaintiff was having his expert, and they were actually down near the well of the court and talking to the jury. And the doctor was using a model to display, to the jury and talk about the medicine in the case. And the plaintiff's attorney went over to sit down at his desk and was looking through the computer for an image. And all of a sudden, his head just rolled back and his eyes closed. And there was silence from him. And so there was an adjuster next to me who used to be a nurse, and she was trying to get his attention, and he was unresponsive. And she ended up actually running over to check on him, and the judge released the jury, got them out of the courtroom real quick. They actually got him on the floor, and like 4 or 5 deputies came in with defibrillators, and he actually had a heart attack in the middle of his case. And they took him to the hospital, and he did not survive. He didn't make it. Yeah, he died before he made it to the hospital.
Dang, that sucks.
It was really sad. It was horrible.
Okay, imagine. Can you describe a normal day in the life of a trial consultant?
Sure. Yeah, actually, I just finished a trial this week. So I came back yesterday from Alexandria, Virginia. So I'll take, the last couple days. So we're working on closing. So we thought perhaps we would close on Thursday. So Wednesday night, we stayed up really late working on the PowerPoint, try to summarize all the evidence in the case and put it together. I think I was up to about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning working on this PowerPoint to put it together for the attorney. So again, we wake up, we have to be at court by 9 and be ready. We had a couple more witnesses to do that day. We actually didn't end up making it to close on Thursday, so we had to come back and kind of close on Friday. So again, Thursday night, we're working with the attorneys, fine-tuning the PowerPoint. And then the next day, we come to court, and I'm there to set up and test the equipment, there to ensure that the PowerPoint connects with the court system and any additional monitors that we might be using, and making sure that PowerPoint runs smoothly and that the attorney can get his evidence into the court case. And then, we go through the court day, and then we wrap up at the end of the day. And then if we're closing, I actually packed up the equipment and came home now.
That's good. Well, if you could think of one thing that would make your job easier, what would it be?
Well, if you can go ahead and work on the cloning feature, that would be really awesome. Because if there was another 1 or 2 of me, that would be really good for right about now. Until we get that technology available, though, if every courtroom had really good equipment installed and that was actually set up decently for the jury to be able to visualize and hear the evidence coming, that would be great. Right now I actually bring a lot of my own equipment, and when I tap into the court system, I usually will add a projector or screen, additional speakers, additional monitors, because sometimes the way that the courts are set up aren't ideal for how you want to present your case.
Okay. What is the greatest challenge that most trial consultants are dealing with today?
Being overworked, I would say right now, because with all the courts opening up, there's just a lot of cases. And the cases, you can be gearing up for trial. I actually had a case, I was supposed to go to Lynchburg, starting a trial on Tuesday. And I found out Thursday that case settled. And Thursday afternoon, I was already booked for another trial in Maryland. And then I just got word that they're figured out to get that one covered. So it's crazy right now because the work is out there. And so I think just, you have to be mindful of your workload, and be ready for whatever, plan ahead, work ahead so that you're not caught up at the last minute.
So what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be a trial consultant?
Well, I would say first, make sure that you're interested in the legal field. Perhaps watch some trials, watch court TV. Maybe go to your local courthouse and sit through a couple trials and see if you like the process. See if you enjoy the the way that the defense and the plaintiff work together, or the way that the jury is sitting there listening, they can be boring days. So you want to make sure that this is something that you really want to get into before you start investing, real time or money into kind of fine tuning and mastering your skills. If you decide it's something that you want to go forward, start learning the law. There's paralegal programs, there's attorney and lawyer programs that you can go through for your school. There's, programs for the computer that you can be working on that would be helpful for trial consultants. Master PowerPoint, learn all the in and outs of PowerPoint, of the Microsoft suite, of the Adobe Creative Suite to be able to assist and get ready. And then just, start learning.
Mm-hmm. So what is that one case that you are very proud of that you were a part of?
Well, it was a couple years back, actually. I worked I was hired by the Commonwealth of Virginia to represent them or to help them on a trial. And it was a uranium mining case. So there was a property owner that wanted to be able to mine uranium on his property in the Commonwealth of Virginia, which with the Virginia Constitution is illegal in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But he had this property, he had uranium in the mine, albeit not the highest percentage of uranium was in it. And he wanted to be able to get the rights to be able to start mining it. And so I was representing the Commonwealth. They had experts to say that, it's not safe, that there's potential of toxic leaking into the water supply for the Commonwealth. And so we represented, this was sort of towards the beginning of COVID. So, everyone was masked up and being socially distant. So it was that was my first trial during the pandemic. And so we were able to successfully defend against allowing this property owner to mine uranium. And so that was kind of a pretty cool case to be a part of.
Wow. So who helped motivate or inspire you the most in following your dreams?
Oh, that's another good question. I'd have to go back. I didn't have the greatest, father figure in my life growing up. My mom did the best that she could, and she was a very great support for me growing up. I would say once I got to high school, I got a mentor, though. I was very interested and got into the drama club, and there was a volunteer dad there. Everyone called him Dad Orr. And through the 4 years, because I started as a freshman, 9th grade, and through the 4 years of high school, he taught me so much about drama, about lighting and audio and sound and set design and building. All that stuff that I didn't have a father showing me how to even use a hammer or saw or power tools. So he taught me sort of all that basic stuff, but then he just was such a great role model for me that, how to be nice and passionate and to find your dreams. That's always stuck with me. And it's just, he's been the one that sort of, I think, helped me out during that time period. And I've always had great memories on.
So what message do you want to tell children all over the world about working as a trial consultant?
I would say, just find what you're passionate about. Ensure that whether it's trial consulting or whatever it is in your life, find what you're passionate about, what brings you joy, and then fight for it. Don't let others tell you what you should do or what you shouldn't do. Go after what you want and then, fight for it. That's what I would say.
What was the most part of your job that you would say is the most enjoyable to do?
Using my creativity and working with a team to kind of build these cases and put them on and see everything kind of successfully fall into place. Is I think the most enjoyable part for me. Even if I don't always win. My team doesn't always win. But it's nice to kind of be able to use my mind and my creativity, on something that's a little different than, the normal everyday kind of office work that I would say.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wrote a radio show and podcast that talks about God during my Line Strong segment. How do you include God's message in your work?
I would say be kind to each other. I always try to find a way to try to encourage or to make, someone smile, because you never know what someone else is going through. I have my struggles, my family has struggles, and you never know if that person's having such a bad day that they just feel like crying, but they're there. And so I think just be nice to everyone is sort of the best that you can do. And then, make it through the day without blowing your head off, because everyone's got their own things that they're dealing with. There's no reason to be mad or sad or angry at other people if you can try to bring some joy in them.
Mm-hmm. What was the first job that you ever had?
Well, my first job, I worked for a summer at a farm in Virginia Beach, Hunt Club Farm. And I sort of did odds and ends around the farm, kind of washing the fences and any chores that they had for me. But after that, I worked at McDonald's as a team member for McDonald's.
Was there anything you learned from that job that helped you to be a better trial consultant?
Yeah, I mean, McDonald's was a lot about customer service, making the customer happy, working with a team to put a product together. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with, being able to effectively communicate and work with people. You're not always going to work with your favorite clients. Sometimes you're going to have that complicated or difficult client that you have to work with and do the best that you can. And so I think just kind of having that attitude of, we're going to do this and we're going to do it to the best of our ability and let's make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
I would say really early on in doing these trials, they're long days, and especially if you stay up late helping the attorneys working. And so during one of the early trials, I remember I was on my computer and I was doing my best to stay awake. And I actually was on Facebook, and they came to me really quick, and I wasn't expecting it. And I ended up turning my computer on so the whole courtroom could see that my Facebook feed, and that I obviously wasn't paying attention. So that was a big lesson for me because I didn't want that to happen again. So I cut out a lot of distractions and started my addiction to caffeine, and then made sure that wasn't going to ever happen again. And it happened, thankfully.
Well, that's good. So when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
Oh, my wife and I and our family would just kind of relax, take it easy. I've got, my wife is an entertainment supervisor here, so she finds a lot of cool TV shows that we watch. I enjoy puzzles. I have a lot of fill-in books, kind of grid crossword puzzle type books that I do, and a backlog of books that I'm trying to get through. So that's what I spend a lot of my time doing.
Well, do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
Oh, yeah. My wife and I are actually avid gamers. We get on the one that we're kind of playing the most right now would be Final Fantasy 14. So it's a massive multiplayer online game. But it's nice. We both have our own characters, and we're part of a faction. And it's just kind of a fun way to de-stress when we have the time.
Well, that's good. So what is your favorite book to read?
I'm actually reading a series that's by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and I love it. It's called the Illumini series, and it's sort of I guess you could say a space opera book, but it's done like in an investigative journalism way. So it's like tidbits of like reports and investigative, watching video camera feeds and stuff like that. And so it's a really unique way of putting a story together, and I really enjoy it.
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show. But that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
One story I'm not supposed to tell you about. Well, I did, one of the things that you're talking about is me becoming a trial consultant. And I never did think that I would go into this field. In fact, growing up, I always thought, what I would be is just someone wearing a business suit, wearing a suit and tie every day. And my dad worked for the general accounting office, and he just would wear a suit every day. And so I never really wanted to be a profession, like in a certain profession. I just wanted to wear a shirt and tie. And so growing up, I kind of knew I always wanted to be in a business field, a business position. And so it's kind of fun that, I do get to go out and do these trials, and I am wearing the suit and the shirt and tie. So that's kind of a funny story.
Wearing the blazer, wearing the tie, the big tie, the bow tie even.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I haven't sported the bow tie yet. I'll have to try that out. It looks
Maybe
good on
it's
you.
just suspenders.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
Well, the only thing you've asked me all these great questions, but you haven't asked me what my favorite ice cream is.
Ooh, what is your favorite ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip from Cold Stone, I would have to say. That's definitely my favorite ice cream.
I love chocolate chip. Mint chocolate chip, too. Do you have a website or Facebook for my listeners who want to follow you?
Yeah, of course. It's In2trial.com. That's IN, 2trial.com. You can also see me on Facebook.com/In2trial, and I'm also on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you, Brian, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Oh, I love math. I would love to.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
Thank you, Brian, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to do some more multi-step word problems. You know my dad loves showing me how math can be used in the real world. Today, we're going to talk about sports. Here we go. 9 of the people in Brianna's apartment building like to play Frisbee, and 7 like to play hockey. 3 people like to play both Frisbee and hockey. How many people like to play Frisbee or hockey or both?
Whoa. How do we figure this out?
So this is a real-world situation because people do like to play sports, but usually they are able to count how many people like sports without having to sort out what sport they like. But let's go ahead and try it. So first we have to draw a Venn diagram. First we put in the 3 people that like both, and then we put 9 minus 3 or 6 that only like Frisbee. Now you put the 7 minus 3 or 4 that like hockey. So to find the number of people that like sports, you get to add the 6 that like the Frisbee, plus the 4 that like the hockey, and then plus the 3 that like both, and then you get 13 people that like sports.
Awesome.
So Brian, do you ever have to use Venn diagrams in court?
Oh, yeah, we use them quite frequently. I'll use them, in the PowerPoint presentations, whether for opening or closing. But it's a great way to summarize data, especially when you're comparing things and what might be the same versus different.
So Brian, my teacher said that I would use math every day. Do you use math in your job?
Oh, yeah. We just used it in this last case, as a matter of fact. It's definitely useful.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, for your help with Math Corners.
Thank you.
And now it's time for A Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. Okay, so this week, my mom was sick with COVID. She is the team leader at work, and everyone was still needing her help. She would work remotely to provide her team with guidance and direction while still being in isolation in her room. I'm sure she would rather be watching TV in bed, but she took the time to work with her team and make sure that the job got done. Now that is what I call leadership.
That's awesome.
So Brian, did you see or use leadership at all this week?
Oh, yeah, there's a great example. So I'm working with a team of attorneys out of Northern Virginia. And their one main attorney was a very senior attorney. He's been doing this for many years. And in this case, he brought a new associate, first trial. This was his first trial that he was sitting through. And he actually let him take on one of the expert witnesses. He had his own witness that he was going to prep and put on the stand. But letting him cross an expert witness is a big step for someone that's just starting out in doing trial work. And he did a great job. And afterwards, we even used a lot of those tidbits that he pulled out from this expert witness cross into the closing. And afterwards, this associate attorney was just so thankful for the process and being a part of it. And he learned so much. And so I think that was an awesome opportunity of leadership for the senior attorney to kind of show and bring up this associate attorney.
Mm-hmm. Well, of all of the Heart of the Lion virtues, which virtue do you see the most?
I would say integrity. To be able to show up every day. When I'm in trial, I can't use a sick day. I have to go in and I have to work. So when I'm out of town and I'm working for a client, I'm focused. And then, to always have that good attitude. Sometimes it can get really hard. There'd be a lot of documents that need to be displayed and it can be stressful. But you have to kind of show consistency. So I think the integrity, is a very important one.
Well, we should always try and be line strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Yes, for sure.
See Tiberius Smith Law.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
The website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Brian Coleman for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking with you today. I think we learned a lot about working in a courtroom and what a trial consultant does.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's awesome. And I love your show. I love what you guys are doing here. Be sure to look me up. It's In2trial.com. I'm on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I'll be glad to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and like and subscribe and ring that bell next to the subscribe button. Also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.